Yes. It's another good day. Welcome back to the Focus Group. This is the place you can be assured to get the most trending stories and the best of this week. Welcome for the 14th of March. The year is 2023. If this was last month, this should be the day of love, the 14th of February. Lakini it's another month, it's March. Not saying that this is the month of hate. Kuna mtu anasema hivyo, but welcome back again. This is Tuesday, the year is 2023, and I hope that you having a good time so far. Us in the studio this afternoon, we are also having fun, and we decided to bring you the show today, and most probably we're going to bring the show every other day evenings. Ndio umepumzika ukirudi pale kwa nyumba, you sure to get the best and the best of the Focus Group. Welcome back, Mr. Sharon Paul, SP. Mr. Sadakta bado haja to join, but I believe he's going to join us later in the week. Probably next week. Now, I'm saying too much of tomorrow and the next week. I'm not sure what to say anymore, but he's feeling good, right? And I think he's going to be joining us very soon. Yes, we've told him to sanitize. You've seen the writings on our pages, and I hope you're joining us. Thank you very much for those maybe who are watching through other people. Facebook is Thuku Moita Thuku. YouTube is also Thuku Moita Thuku. We're going live on those two handles, and you can also join us at Sharon Paul SP on Facebook and Sharon Paul Media, that is on YouTube. Yes, Matiangi, Daktari Mwalimu. Pakuna gumzo kidogo, ninashindwa what to say. This is one of those discussions that you don't know where to start. First of all, let me say the much respect I have for Mr. Daktari, that is Fredo Matiangi, or Kengo Mwalimu. Yes, he's been sanitized. We're not sure if he's been sanitized or what deal went on. You know, we saw Mr. Matiangi with Ezekiel Machogu, that is the education CS. They were in one of our hotels in Nairobi with the Gusii elders. And soon after that, we saw him being acquainted of his cases. His cases were dropped by the DPP. The DPP is very famous nowadays for dropping cases whom one either go in line with the government. I do not know where he's getting the directions from, but he's been dropping a lot of cases since this government got into power. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying maybe we should sanitize a lot of people who are in courts today for other mistakes, because you see there's no crime, economic crime and other crimes. These are all crimes. They end up in courts and probably in jails. But we're seeing some of them are being dropped by the DPP. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. We do not know. There's a reason these cases were taken to court. But yes, Corona came, sanitizer came, and most of them are being sanitized. Now, Mr. Fred Matiangi, Daktari. You know, before this government came in the last regime, that is Mr. Uhuru, His Excellency, the former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Matiangi was one of the most powerful CSs. And I did not think I would ever live to see the day that Matiangi would be driven in a DCI's Subaru. Now that day came. It did not last long. But they gave him a good whip-wing week. Hakuwa na amani. But I do not know what deals, and I'm still waiting to see what deals Mr. Matiangi and the president made. And what is even worrying me, is even exciting me enough, is I'm wondering the deputy president, who has an amounting, and how do I put it this? A very heavy hatred for the former CS. So I'm wondering whatever plans or whatever deals were made, because we saw some of the Gusii MPs went to State House, and right after that, Matiangi came and was sanitized. So I'm wondering if the DP was briefed on this, because I haven't heard him comment on the same, but I saw today Sudi said that Matiangi asamehewa, hakuwa anajua chenye alikuwa anafanya. Mtu akiomba msamaha anasamehewa. I do not know what Matiangi promised the president. I do not know what Matiangi ama the Gusii community ama the Gusii elders promised the president to shield the former CS from the whipping. Because the whipping was coming his way. The president and the DCI and all these bodies walikuwa wamekuja na mijeredi ready to whip Mr. Former CS. Now hii kipindi inaanza kuwa tamu, because now I want to see what the deputy president is going to say. You see, the deputy president has never failed to mention to remind us of a regime that was very, very bad and headed by CS Matiangi, and he has never failed. He has never shied off mentioning the name Mr. Matiangi. Yo, Mr. Deputy President anakuwa point blank. He knows and he says it. Huyu Matiangi alitunyanyasa. Now Matiangi is getting sanitized, and the only way to get back on to Matiangi is through the judicial. And nowadays we're seeing probably, I'm not saying so, but it is said that the former president used the discipline forces, that is the Akina DCI and the rest, to manage politics and manage other things. But now we are saying like the goals have shifted, and now judiciary is being used to manage politics. Other things I do not know, but people are getting sanitized a lot nowadays. And Mr. Matiangi is one of them. I would have never thought I would live to see this day. Matiangi is going to be one lucky person. He enjoyed power for 5 good years. And now he is back again. He's back on the same horse. And please do not make mistakes. It will be very easy for His Excellency the President William Ruto to engage Matiangi in this government. I'm not sure if you're seeing what is going on with Maandamano and Turkana in the Rift, where Kindiki and some of the Azimio leaders quoting Sifuna said, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but he said his voice sounds like something rather familiar. But all I'm saying is maybe Matiangi is a threat to most of the people who are in government right now. Because I'm sure, first of all, this administration would love to steal a page from his book and know how he's managed to maybe combat most of these insecurity issues and also these Maandamano issues. You remember Matiangi brought smoke to opposition during his time. So if I was in government right now, I would be very worried. Most especially people who are in the CS's offices, and most who are, I'm not saying much, but also the deputy president. If I was one of those people, I would be very worried. You see, inclusifying Matiangi is something very tricky. Because at some point, this administration and the president at most, you see, the president is not looking to set this country to fail. He's looking to set this country to succeed. So he will get in bed even with the most of the worst if it means moving his regime to the right direction. And other than most of the stuff that we had the previous ESs used to do, you know, these bureaucrats, they had a lot of knowledge. It's only that maybe some of them didn't use the knowledge they had to the good of the country. But these are people who would engage the government to the right direction. I'm not saying the previous ESs do not know what they're doing, but they're pretty much learning. So we do not have that time to teach the cabinet secretaries to move the right direction. And here we have cabinet secretaries whom the government have one over their head, and they would use that card to make them maybe do one or two things for this regime. So if I was a member of the cabinet, as much as the deputy president keeps on saying that this government is a company and wale walipanda lazima wavune kwanza, these are people who can come back to the government and take position. Because Matiangi is one of those people who really got engaged to those innermost details of the government. And he knows one or two things which the current president, His Excellency, the president, would want to steal a page from. So, nyinyi mko kwa serikali, I would watch out for this guy. I would really, really watch out for this guy. And it was very interesting to see Sudi make such a comment, say, and that the former CS Matiangi Asamehewe. I remember Sudi was one of those people who wouldn't shy from Kwashifu, the former CS, even during the regime in which Matiangi was I think he was the second most powerful person in this country. So it's a good thing seeing some calm with the government, because we've been seeing a lot of unsettledness, government officials still leaning on the past, not moving us forward, but trying to pull us back and trying to make these vengeance missions. But it's a good thing now that we are seeing some directions. We're going to see some moving forward right now, and maybe maisha itatupumzisha kidogo, you never know. And I see some light. I see Matiangi coming back to the government very soon. That is something I'm seeing. And even if he's not going to come to the government, he's going to be very close to the president. Kweli mwenye alisema an easy lie is the head that wears the crown. Hakukosea. This is a president that was oppressed and now is willing and ready to work with the oppressor. Mambo ya serikali sio mchezo. Mambo ya politics, inaitwa politics. Mambo ya politics sio mchezo. This is what you call the necessary evil. You're going to get in bed with even that kipini ambayo inakudunga, you'll still get in the same bed, and you knowing very well you're going to come out of that bed with injuries. But simply because this needs to happen, it will happen. And most of the people, especially the DP, I'm sure he has a clog on his throat. Na anashindwa, how do I get rid of this person? Because I'm sure if the DP was left with Matiangi alone, he would give him a bit of his 2 cents. Now, in regards to what the DPP claimed that he dropped the cases of Matiangi, the basis at which he dropped the cases, you see, I wonder how a whole agency like the DCI's office would miss such important protocols of charging someone. And I'm wondering, if you're going to have these fights within our government, because you see, when we start with even the Jomo Kenyatta, every regime will have to oppress people in one or the other. It is not a must, but it happens. Someone will be left with scars when a certain regime leaves power. Even this regime, when it leaves power, someone will have to be left with scars. And my question is, you see, when Kibaki got into power, Moi was one of those people who really pressed his arm, alimvuta kidogo, but he moved on. And I'm quite wondering if it's a generational thing, because now if you're going to pull on revenge missions, and I'm very proud of the president, because I honestly did not think His Excellency, the William Samoei Ruto and Matiangi will ever see eye to eye. But here they are. But they've been a path that is set, and we are seeing Matiangi is coming back to the light. Ama he's being set free. I'm not sure he's going to be set free. He will have to pay for. If he's not going to pay through courts, he will have to give favors back to earn his freedom. And but what worries me the most is some of the utterances by the deputy president. And I'm wondering if would he be willing to put his own issues aside and for the betterment of this country? Because I'm trying to look and wonder if he was the president today, with the much anger that we see in him, would he be able to put aside his anger? Same as His Excellency William Ruto did. William Ruto was very oppressed. He claims he was very oppressed by the former CS, Fred Matiangi. But right now, for the betterment of this country, he's willing to put that aside. And I'm quite skeptical if the deputy president would do that. And I'm not so sure if the deputy president is happy with this move. So I'm wondering, are we going to have one of those governments which needs to be even before they move on? Because now we've spent 6 months blaming another government. 1 year is almost over. So 4 years are left. So that is one aspect of the government that was being dealt with, and that was Fred Matiangi. So there are so many of them. We saw another trail coming up now in Yatani. We have 22 CSs. So if they're going to handle them by order, so that means it will be 3 years down the line still handling whatever mistakes that were done in the previous government. And my worry is these 5 years are going to be done when it's still doing that. That is why I'm saying I'm commending the President, William Ruto, for the move he made. If Fred Matiangi did anything wrong in the last, we normally say you're innocent until proven guilty. If he did anything that deserved punishment, he should be punished for that. But are we willing to let go of mistakes done for the good of this country? We can still deal with Matiangi. We can leave the courts to deal with Matiangi and move on with this country. But I've never had a conversation that the deputy president has ever had a full conversation. And Putin, I watched his live coverage that was covered by multiple media houses at his residence in Karen. And if you joined that conversation, you would notice that 99.9% of that conversation was about the previous regime and blaming other people, including the media, for mistakes done. And it is mistakes done. We never had a single conversation over how this country is going to move forward. We cannot be having this pull and back. When the president came into power, I think it was about the third week in power, he went to the UN complexes in New York, and he was having a very beautiful conversation. He made a very beautiful speech on environment and conservation of it. Right here back at home, someone else was giving another narrative of how people should go moving into forests and cultivate. It was twisted to another direction, but yes, we do not need to have conversation and have damage control the following morning. The communications team in that office, I'm sure all they are doing is damage control since this government assumed office. And I'm trying to say, His Excellency, the President, William Ruto, I actually thought he would have angers, but I'm seeing him trying to put his angers aside to move this country forward. And we need to have the same. We cannot have the majority leader, Mr. Ishongwa, going to television stations and all they are talking about is previous regimes. Nobody's having the conversation of moving forward. Yes, I saw him, he did a letter. But is that what you should be doing right now? There are laws that need to be made. Please come up with laws on how we can manage this banditry on the Rift. Come up with better laws to help the CS of trade of knowing how he can manage whatever he's saying is pouring of useless stuff from outside to this country. Come together, and these are the letters you should be doing. Digging into the past, that is not letters that you should be doing. I'm not trying to lecture anyone, but moving forward, let me go back to Mr. Matiangi. I got a bit carried away there. But I think this is conversations you should be having. And I'm not going to get tired of this. I will say this and I will say it again. We have enough menace in this country to handle. We have the issue of banditry. And it is so sad that I saw the senator, the Azimio senator, Sifuna, making a joke out of it. It was very sad. In Narok, Sifuna saying that the CS ameshindwa kuhandle bandits sijui wangapi hapa ni atawaza. That is not jokes you should be having, especially a leader in the upper house, that is the Senate. Those are not remarks he should be making. Kwanza on the streets. These are not remarks he should be having. He should be making. He should be pulling even those in government and telling them, yes, we are in opposition, but let us come together and trying to build something beautiful so we can help the CS to manage the menace on the Rift. And then they can come back together and have their own fights. We know politics fights will be there because this is the government, this is the opposition. And the opposition should be strengthened and do their work. But we should not be joking on such matters like the Turkana. I do not know if these people have watched what is going on on the Rift. Children are moving by night. Now the CS made some orders and said people who are living in valleys or some places, they should move. I want you to think today, if you're told to move from your residence and nobody is giving you an alternative of where to go, where would you go? Yes, tunasema, sijui, these are nomads, they move, but that is their home. So if you are told to move, that is not the solution. I'm not saying maybe it's an army tactic, and it's probably the best to come up with and handle these bandits. Yes, but I want you to think today. If there was insecurity in Nairobi, and you are told, wewe unaishi Thika Road, na Thika Road ndio kunajulikana hao wezi wanajifichaga. So venye utafanya wewe ni utatoka Thika Road uende utafuta makao mahali ingine, so we can handle this wezi wenye wanaishi Thika Road. I want you to take that scenario. Nobody is less of a human being in this country. And this is the issues we should be having. We should not be having the issues of maandamano right now. We should not be having the issues of whom did what. And this is, I'm telling to both the parties, both the government and the opposition. Because in opposition, we have already a sitting member of parliament. Sifuna is actually a senior member of the Senate. And I'm giving a very good example. Moving people from their areas of dwelling is not the solution. So saizi kama Karen kuna vita. Do you go tell the people in Karen ama kuna wezi in Karen? Wezi imekuwa too rampant in Karen, so you go to Karen and tell people, this is what you're going to do. Karen, we know Karen is full of trees. So watu wenye wanaishi hapa, what you're going to do is that you're going to move, go find somewhere else to live, so we can handle these thieves. That is not the solution. The solution is trying to come up with this thing, because I know there are strategies to employ within the Ministry of Interior. These people whose sole job is to come up with security strategies. These people derive salaries from the government. If you're going to displace someone, please get them an alternative. Show them where to go next. So because now you have someone in Turkana, a father and a mother in Turkana, who the only place they know how to survive in is where they live. And you're telling them to move from that place to go to another place. You haven't given them an option. There is no alternative. That is where they had their cows. That is where they feel most comfortable living. So have you given this person an alternative? So this is what should happen. The same thing that has happened in Turkana. If there is insecurity in Nairobi, and the kind of insecurity we had, everybody in Nairobi should be relocated to somewhere else. You're supposed to tell people, move. We handle the thieves. Please come up with better strategies. And this is not the CS's fault. This is even the fault of the members of parliament. I do not understand why we need to pay these people's fuel. We need to pay for these people's tax-free issues. And still they cannot come up, they cannot do their job. And I wish members of parliament were taken through the same vettings the CSs are taken through. So we can know if these people we put in this house even know what their place is. Let me tell you something. Members of parliament do not even need an education. They do need an education to navigate their way through whatever orders that are there in parliament. But a member of parliament is someone who understands their area. I want you to take note of one person, Sudi. Sudi is one person who's always back home. He's always in his village trying to connect with the people. And that is what we need. He's not educated and he's proven it. Even allegations has come, but I'm not going to get into that. But he connects with his people. I want you to imagine the members of parliament we've had throughout Moi's regime, who could not even say mini-victory. You see, a member of parliament, all they need to do is understand their constituency very well. Come back to Bunge and say, we should be putting these sharias into law so they can help my constituents. Now that small education is what is needed to know now how to take those mashidas and bring them back to parliament so they can be taken to law. We have members of parliament within these regions that have issues. Matiangi was the head of that in the previous regime. And I remember Natembeya saying there was a time they were given the army, but the army was there for only 10 days. And I can only imagine why, because the army is not like the police. These people will consume money. The budget will be very high. Having the army there is not sustainable. It is very necessary, but is it sustainable? And these bandits, I know they are bad, but even the insecurity in Nairobi, wale wezi tunaonaga Nairobi, pia they are not better than those. So we should be coming up with better policies and strategies to eliminate these people. Now, going back to Mr. Matiangi. I was bringing that up because Mr. Matiangi, if we are going to kashifu Mr. Matiangi for one thing, I think it would be for this. Why did you let this grow? Because this did not start with the President Ruto's regime. It started way back. So Matiangi should be telling us, what did you do with this? Instead of this goose chase, here, hapa na pale, here, hapa na pale, I think he should be put to task and tell us, what did you do to handle these people? What did you do to the police forces who are dying there every other day? What did you do to the residents of those areas? What did you do for them? And this is notes that should be being exchanged between the two CSs, that is Matiangi and the current CS, Mr. Kindiki. So yes, Matiangi is sanitized. I'm probably going to be seeing a lot of him from now on. And if not a lot of him, then he's quite lucky. He can go now rest and retire, maybe wait for 5 years, come back. Jaribu Kiti, but he's been sanitized. And it was an exciting moment, and I'm still waiting for this. And I think people should buy a lot of popcorn because I want to see how the DP is going to react to this now. I want to see how the DP is going to handle this because I believe the DP is not going to take this very lightly. The DP is known for a very, very strong opinion of the former CS. So I believe the DP is going to take it on the road. So mahali ulipo, make sure to stock yourself with the popcorns. Watch news, achana na Netflix. News is the hottest thing that is going to look from now moving forward. I'm sure there are going to be tags of war because this is now where getting in bed with the thorny tree, it means. This is what it means. That heavy lies, uneasy lies, the head that wears the crown. This is the president, and he's willing to let go of the past. He's willing to give a clean slate to the former CS. And yes, sanitizer ilingia. So yes, thank you for watching us today. I think I'm going to leave you that there. And just a reminder of our Facebook and YouTube handles. Our Facebook is Thuku Muita Thuku and Sharon Paul SP. Our YouTube handles are Thuku Muita Thuku and Sharon Paul Media. Thank you for watching us and keep in touch. And today, maandamano ziko Siaya. Told you every other weekend we're going to follow the mandamanos. We're going to keep them. We're going to be on the road. So we are going to give you a live coverage of that. Thank you, and thank you again, Mr. Director. I think you can take us away. Oh, a word of prayer. My apologies. And now may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen.